Hi, this is Lynn, and I thank you for joining me on my How I Did It series. It's been quite the journey, and I'm very excited to be able to share this part of the story with you. What we're going to do is present my story as part two. I gave you a video a few weeks ago, part one, which was the story of sharing a very dynamic message from a Dr. Paul Leon Masters, who's been my mentor since 1977. I still study with him. I'm still a student at his university studying for my master's, and then followed by my doctorate, because I intend to become a master at this philosophy, and that's the philosophy of metaphysics. It indeed has saved my life. So it's been a while since we did that first video, but I've gone through some transitions technologically. I had created quite a few videos or audios and videos for this series, and then my computer crashed. Literally. It blew the motherboard, so I had to buy a new one, and it's taken me a while to get all of the technology back in sync. Having been on Windows XP and then going to Windows 7, they don't talk to each other that well, so sometimes there are problems, and I had to have some patches put in for my webcam, and I just got that resolved last week with I had an IT tech come in to work with me on the system, and I learned a lot, but it was a good thing that I did, because there were things that even he didn't know about how XP works with Windows. So just with Windows 7. So just for you people out there who may have to migrate from one operating system to the other, be prepared. It's quite the challenge. But it's part of this journey that I've been on, and I rose to the occasion, and I'm very happy to say that it was another wonderful learning opportunity. So now back to the topic of how I did it. This series is dedicated to all of you out there who are going through a major life transition, generally those that require you to rebuild your life, your finances, maybe even relationships, love relationships, partner relationships, anyone who's gone through the experience of the downturn or in any way having to do it all over again. Now, there are various schools of thought about this scenario and how it can be done, but since I'm a baby boomer, a product of the baby boom generation, where we came through and changed the world with our new ideas and innovative approaches to things, I've come to the understanding that we're not done yet, and we're here to finish off our lives by changing what we perceive growing old to be. I've come to understand, and I truly believe, that we were born at the perfect time, that it was no accident that we came in as this country's largest generation with all of these new thoughts and ideas, and with the determination to change our country, and indeed, without realizing it, changing the world. I mean, we started out with civil rights movements, although that was really initiated by the generation ahead of us, but those were our sisters and brothers. And then we went to burning bras, and then there was women's rights and children's rights and the women's rights to be independent, and then we changed the world where we used to only have children within a family unit. Children who were not born in a family unit were ostracized. We decided, oh no, we don't care about that either. We want to change that. We want to be women who are free and independent, and to have children whether or not we're married. We transformed that. We worked on gender rights in the workplace. You know the drill. You know what's happened over the last 20, 30, 40 years, and how we have been instrumental in changing not only what's happening here in America, but around the world. And once again, we're being called to duty. Instead of growing into our golden years on retirement incomes and sitting in, golf carts or rocking chairs or whatever it is we envisioned our golden years would be, many of us are now being called back to the forefront to participate in transforming what it means to grow older. We decided, first of all, we didn't want to get old. Nobody does, but we decided not only did we not want to get old, we were going kicking and screaming, and we were going to change what that meant. So with fitness and renewed interest, or a changed interest in healthy eating and healthy living, and getting rid of bad habits like smoking and drinking and all the things that have caused us to die with poor health, we are now moving into a place where technologically and medically we also have supportive systems and nutrients that can help us not only age gracefully but age younger. We stay younger longer. I mean, I'm 60 years old. I had a birthday in November, and I'm happy to say I'm a very happy 60-year-old who has no intention of retiring. At first, when my life turned upside down back in 2004, I went kicking and screaming. I was very angry because I lost my wealth. I had spent 35 or 40 years working and accumulating wealth, and I was quite comfortable. And then through the unfortunate events of a divorce, or a pending divorce that happened to end in the death of my spouse, and then I didn't kill him. He died of a heart attack. But that was a great impact on me, not only because of the loss of his life, but we had not separated because of lack of love. There were some changes in my life that caused us to have to part. He wanted pretty much a stay-at-home partner, or one that was at least controllable, and I just wasn't the controllable kind of person. He had experienced some losses in his life after 9/11. His business crashed, and of course we understand how that can affect a man, and he didn't handle it well. And after about 2.5 years of waiting for him to get through with depression and start to look forward to living again, he became somewhat controlling and demanding, and my life was taking off. My second career was starting to skyrocket, and it caused some real serious differences in our relationship. So it wasn't lack of love that broke us up. It was some fundamental differences of lifestyle and goals and dreams. I made the choice for me. And then several months after we broke up, he died. Then, a few years after he passed away, I started looking for a job. After being in information technology as an independent consultant, I found myself unemployable. I was in my early 50s, but I had always been very much in demand, always found my jobs easily, always got my clients easily, never had a challenge or a care. It was always a matter of I worked if I wanted to, never had an issue. And suddenly, I found myself sending out hundreds of resumes with no job interviews, nothing, no responses, nothing. This was before the economic crash in 2007, so I went through a couple of years of having this real issue of why I couldn't get back to work. And I went through what some of you are experiencing now, and that is the accusations and the loss of confidence in me by friends and family who thought I just wasn't trying hard enough. They couldn't believe that I was sending out hundreds of resumes. They knew that I had this technologically wonderful background. I was highly professional. I was, in demand at one time, and they just couldn't believe that I wasn't able to get a job. It had to be me, but it wasn't. But at that point in time, we didn't know what we know now, and so I had to take the brunt of it. And even though we do know what we know now about corporate age discrimination and how they're subtly doing it, a lot of you still are suffering under the same accusations and misunderstandings. And my heart goes out to you, which is one of the reasons why I decided to do this. Because I found at the ripe age of 55, or however it was when I finally realized what it meant, I was going to have to recreate my life. Indeed, I was going to have to build a new life, starting from scratch. And even though I knew how to do it, it was an emotionally traumatic time for me, and so I wasn't really emotionally equipped for all it was going to take. Not only that, but I didn't have friends and family around me. Most of my family passed away over the last 10 or 15 years. All three sisters, my mother and father, my father passed away when I was 22, but my mother died in 95. My son was killed in 88. My another sister was killed in 90. One sister passed away in 87 from cancer, and then my youngest sister passed away in 2006, 6 months after my husband passed away. He died July 4th in 2005. So I had all these emotional things going on, and then the loss of my career, and I had been a career woman. I had been in IT for, like I said, 33, 34 years. So it was quite the blow to me professionally, emotionally, personally, and every otherwise, because not only was all this going on, but I was alone. I was getting older, and I was broke. And then, of course, in 2007, we found out that our economy was collapsing. So not only did I have all these other issues to deal with and try to rebuild my life, I didn't have a foundation to build it on. Things were going sideways and upside down, and we didn't know where we were going. We didn't understand the impact of what was happening, and so I found myself up a creek without a paddle, heading for the rapids, and all I could do was hold on to the sides of the boat and hope it didn't capsize as I was carried downstream. Finally got to a point of healing myself, and it took several years. It really, without a model to follow, without a way to gauge my progress, or even to have a support system of encouraging me to go on, I found that I was able to pull on the resources that I had learned from Dr. Masters, which is one of the reasons I highly recommend using his teachings and his lectures as a foundation for your rebuild and your recreation. But the tools, by being his student for all of these years, and the tools that I learned through his teachings, I was able to pull myself back together and actually pull myself back from the brink. I skirted homelessness at one point. I was hopeless. I was clueless. I had no idea of where I was going to go or what was going to happen. I knew what I didn't want, but I was so devastated and so damaged that all I could think about was what had happened, how angry I was about what had happened, how confused I was, how scared I was. In fact, I was just radiating all this negative energy, though I knew I wanted to recreate my life. I knew I wanted to make it. I wanted to thrive. I wanted to be successful again. And I had all this intellect. I had all this ability, all of these skills, and all of this will and determination. I mean, I never gave up. Not one day did I stop working and trying. I worked on my career. I've been working on it ever since. My ex died, and I realized that he wouldn't be there for spousal support, that I'd have to go back to work. I've worked on this project since 2005, and here it is, the end of 2011, and I can actually say I've seen the greatest amount of progress in the last 12 to 15 months over what I had seen over the last 5 years, 5 or 6 years. So I'm here to be. I'm the light post. I was the trailblazer. I fought my way and sliced my way through the jungle, through the dark, through the valleys, and across the mountains. And I've created a pathway that I'm hoping for some of you will be easier for you to follow. I'm standing here on the mountaintop now with the light, holding the light for you, saying, over here, this way. This is one way. It's not the only way, but at least you'll be able to see the path that I've created and figure out how to find your way through the darkness and through the devastation with a little more encouragement and at least some measure of a model. So, starting out with Dr. Masters' classes, like I said, I highly encourage you to follow his Sunday morning messages, which are archived and broadcast 24 hours a day. You can log in and see it whenever it's convenient. For those of you who are so inclined, I recommend enrolling in his university and learning more about yourself and your spirit and how to use the law of attraction in a real way. There are so many people out there talking about how you can use the law of attraction to create the material wealth and be successful and all of these things, but they don't tell you some of the things you need to do within you to make the law of attraction work. I mean, it's wonderful to know the principles and to practice the principles, but if you got all this garbage in your head and all of this drama in your heart and in your life, you're going to neutralize all of the efforts you make towards trying to make that happen. So, like we do in America, we always go, we're extremists, we go one way too far and then we swing back the other way too far, whereas we weren't practicing the law of attraction for the last 200 years. Now that we are practicing the law of attraction on the physical side, we still have yet to embrace the truth of what that connection is to inside of us. My experience through these last few years helped me to understand what that connection is. So now that I'm a life coach, I have clients that I counsel daily on how to make that heart connection to the law of attraction principles and to create the success in your life. I'm offering that same success, that same teachings to you as my gift. Why am I doing it as a gift? Well, because through my struggles these last few years, I ran across many mentors who were willing to teach me whatever it is they knew that could help me overcome and rebuild and recreate, but they all needed a certain amount of money, which I didn't have. So instead of being able to pay for some of these classes, which could have shortcut my process, I had to take the little bits of information I could glean from their free webinars, all their marketing webinars, the promo webinars, where they teach you a little bit, not enough to really get over, but just enough to get you going. And I knew enough about some of the areas that I was studying to be able to connect the dots and fill in the missing blanks. and move forward. It was hard. It took a long time. I didn't have the money to budget effectively for leapfrogging into success, but I had the patience and determination to go step by step, little bit, baby step by baby step, until I got to a point where things started to come together. And it was a real self-education, everything from learning how to use Twitter and Facebook, and I'm still not really proficient with either one, but I have managed to create enough interest and make enough connections between Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn to actually now have a working process, a working model. And I've come from being destitute, meaning no money, almost homeless, to now being able to pay my way, at least to a point. Not to where I want to be by no means, but now I have some of the tools that I was missing before to where now I'm very comfortable with being able to make things happen. I'm making great progress, and I'm very excited about sharing some of those tools and that progress with you, because I feel like you need it, because I feel like I want to do it, because my mission is not done. In fact, I'm just really getting on that path. I'm just now recognizing why I'm here. All that I've been through and all that I've done was for this moment to come and share this with you. And I'm so grateful that you're willing to let me do that by connecting with me through Facebook and listening to my audios. So, as I mentioned before, we baby boomers were here for a purpose. We were born exactly on time so that as we got into our older years, it would coincide with what's happening with our country, indeed with the world, economically and otherwise. I'm a firm believer that nothing in the universe happens by accident. There are no accidents. There are coincidences, but only because we as human beings perceive them as such. Everything is by a divine design that we cannot see the details or the workings behind the scenes. It's like, Spirit is the Wizard of Oz working behind the curtain. And now as we are maturing into our spiritual awareness and development, we get to peek behind the curtain a little bit and see the workings of the universe and recognize that we are here for a purpose, just as it should be. Have you ever made the statement to yourself during your lifetime at some point, if I just had a chance to do it all over again, I would do this instead of that. I would have this instead of that. And those people wouldn't even be there. Well, guess what? This is your wish. If you've come to this point in your life and had all of this stuff, all of your life successes and relationships and what have you, and your financial security fall away, this is basically your wish. Now you got a chance to do it over again, with the exception of now you have the wisdom, the experience, and the wherewithal to not be distracted by the dramas and the traumas in your life. For many of you, your children are grown. You might be raising grandchildren, but you have the experience of not being a novice parent. You know what it is to be a parent, so it's a little better for you. But yet and still, you have all of this background and experience to fall back on. You're not new. You're not young with all of this, I want to change the world ideology, without realizing that to change the world, you have to start with yourself. You've got the advanced opportunity of being able to do it from a place of knowledge and awareness. So now you also have the support system. You're not alone. Anytime you're feeling discouraged or down, you can, contact me through Facebook. We can network in other ways so that we can stay connected. I can encourage you, be your support system. You can listen to these audios anytime. They'll always be inspiring, always be informative, and always be helping you to look up and stay focused on what you do want. The key to the law of attraction and anything else that you do is recognizing that we are energetic creatures, spiritually energetic creatures having a physical experience. And because we are energy, and everything is energy, everything around us is energy, even though it seems solid, it's vibrating to a certain frequency that makes it appear solid, but it isn't. Any scientist will tell you that in between the atoms of everything that we see, wood or whatever, there is a lot of space. On the very microscopic level or atomic level, the atoms have a lot of space around them. That's the energy that makes us, that's what makes us energy, the fact that we're just space, like smoke, on a very dense level. So because of that, because we are all energy, what we do when we use the law of attraction is attract to us what is like energy. So when you're trying to manifest and create abundance and prosperity and love and joy in your life, you have to become a vibrational equal, so that what you're doing is pulling to you out of the ethers of the universe, bringing into form what you really want. And when you're emotionally devastated and negative and focused on all the lack and limitation and all the stuff you don't want, scared and sad and depressed and dark, you wonder why you can't make anything happen. Well, it's because you're giving so much energy and attention to what you don't want that's what you're getting. This whole series is about helping you transform your energy to what you do want. Because once that happens, you see a subtle change that starts slowly, but it begins to grow as you raise your vibrational frequencies and start attracting to you what you do want. Without realizing it, when your catastrophe or your tragedy or your crisis hit and you start falling to the bottom, you changed your energy vibration. That's the reason why you can't do now what you used to do. Your energy vibration fell along with it. Our job is to lift it back up to the point where now you can start to realize and create in your life the things that you want. So I'm standing here at the end of the mountaintop, holding the light, sending a signal out, trying to lead the way to show you how to get back to the mountaintop. It doesn't matter if once you get to the top you see other mountain ranges ahead of you. They're just another mountain range to climb. But with persistence and determination and joy in your heart, we will travel this road together. Now, I will be sharing with you over the next few weeks the various tools that I use. And one of them, which I'm going to share with you next week, is called the abundance check. Some of you may have heard about the abundance check, some of you may not. Whatever, I want you to take the time to do a Google search, do a Google search on, quote, abundance check, end quote. There are a lot of sites out there that talk about the abundance check. This is nothing new. It's been around for a long time. It's simply the practice of writing yourself a check once a month during the first 24 hours of the new moon cycle, which any farmer will tell you is the growing cycle. You write this check to yourself and you sign it, the law of attraction. Now, when I first heard about this about a year and a half ago, I was getting an email from another friend of mine about her experience with it, and I just kind of blew it off. No big deal, whatever. How's that really going to change anything? But as things kind of spiraled down for me, I went through another little downward spiral late last year, just about a year ago. I decided, what the hell? And quite literally, that's what I said. If it's working for her, what have I got to lose? I got to do something to change this energy. So in January, I started writing the abundance check. And I followed the instructions, which I will give you in 2 weeks, because the next new moon cycle of this month is on Christmas Eve. What better thing than to do for yourself, and what better present to give yourself? Not New Year's. Did I say New Year's Eve? Christmas Eve. But on Christmas Eve and all the next day, we will be writing our abundance checks. And it's simply writing the check to yourself and then putting it aside and forgetting about it. When I wrote my first check in January, I put it aside and didn't think anything more about it. About 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from a friend. Her brother needed some help. I'm in real estate. I'm not an agent. I'm an investor. And I had this tremendous background in real estate investing, but with the market being down and with the strategies I was using, I was floundering terribly. But her brother needed some help with the house that he was losing, and she knew that I knew what to do with it. So he hired me to help him, and I made a quick $2,000. That was the beginning. By middle of February, I had a $2,000 check in my hand, and I was on my way back up. And it's been that way ever since. Every month I write the check, and every month my needs are met. Sometimes it's cash, sometimes it's just needing what I need to have to pay the rent, to having a friend step up to loan me money temporarily, and I was able to pay them back when I said. Likewise, when on the 21st, my birthday, my 60th birthday, as I was working on some audios and some videos for you, my computer crashed. Now, my computer was 6 years old, and I knew it was on its last leg, but I was hoping it would wait till January when I was preparing to buy another machine. Well, it didn't. I got up my birthday morning on the 21st and turned it on, and within 2 hours, it had gone kablooey. It had the equivalent of what we would call a cerebral hemorrhage, a stroke. The motherboard blew. It didn't know who it was or what it was. It couldn't find the C drive, the D drive, or itself. It was just totally gone. And when I talked to a technician about it, the prognosis was fatal. It was dead. There was nothing we could do. and to try to rebuild it by replacing the motherboard with the 6-year-old technology. He said, well, the technology is so powerful now. If you put new equipment into this old box, it's going to start blowing other components because everything is 6 years old. Your best shot is to buy a new one. Now, this was Monday morning, the 21st. I wasn't prepared to buy another computer. But through the law of abundance and some faith, and I was so surprised that I did not react to it negatively at all. I sat here and started laughing. I literally started laughing. And I had this sense of, okay, now what do I do? I never got down, never shed one tear or nothing. I was totally amused because there was a series of things that happened that morning within 2 hours. One was my girlfriend's little chihuahua, my roommate's little chihuahua, went outside for her little morning walk and got spooked and ran and ripped her toenail off. So she comes in bleeding. About 30 minutes later, I have a little space heater because my roommate likes cold. She likes the house cold, and I don't like cold, so I have my little space heater in my room, and I went to turn it on. The switch didn't work. It had been working fine an hour before, but anyway, it didn't work then. And then about 30, 40 minutes later, my computer blew. So I just sat here and shook my head, and I said, okay, what's this all about? Anyway, to make a long story short, I had a brand new computer by Wednesday afternoon. Now, this is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, but I had a brand new computer, and it's nice. I have to admit, it's a new one of those all-in-ones, which is basically a giant laptop that doesn't fold. I don't have a box anymore. The hard drives and all the components are on this big, beautiful 20-inch screen. All I had to do was take the time to reload all of my programs and applications on it, and that's when I found out that Windows XP and Windows 7 don't exactly like each other. Windows 7 will tolerate XP, but it doesn't really like each other. And because I wasn't financially in the position to replace all of my Microsoft Office software and my Adobe software, even my webcam that I'm recording on, it's new. I just bought it back in the spring. It was part of that $2,000 that I got. I knew I needed a new webcam, and that was part of the money that I spent. The $2,000 was to buy this webcam. But because of Windows 7, it wasn't compatible. And it wasn't working right. I couldn't do recordings on this webcam until just a few days ago after downloading the patch. But anyway, basically I was back up and running in 2 days. By Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving, the next day, Black Friday, my computer was up, but it wasn't functioning completely because I had some issues with some of the software that didn't run correctly, and finding patches and fixes and all these other things. And I just decided to load my old equipment, my old software for Microsoft Office and Adobe onto the new machine. And there are some quirks, but it's okay. It's functional. And I'm happy to say that I've been doing fine as I've rebuilt it. And now it's about 99% back to where it was. That was the abundance check working. Magnificently working, because I had no idea how this was going to happen. So that's my big abundance check testimony. I've been sending out this email announcement to friends over the last year, and several of them have started to write the abundance check, and each one of them has had the same experience of lessening of the financial stress, having their needs met when necessary, not knowing where it's coming from, but each time having the need happen. And like I said, abundance is not always money. Sometimes it's just having what you need show up exactly when you need it. So, with that in mind, I say thank you for listening to this audio. I'm looking forward to sharing with you step 3. I'll talk again about the abundance check. I'll talk about some other tools that I use. And we're going to begin this journey together, and hopefully you'll be able to join me here standing up on this rise, holding the light. And if that's the case, then I want you to pay it forward. Share these audios with other people that are in need. Indeed, make some of your own and start, shine your own light out into the wilderness. We baby boomers are going to change the world one more time. We're going to show them that growing older does not mean getting old and dying. It means changing the way we live. Now, one of the things that's happening as our corporate structures are breaking down and our economic system is breaking down is we're being encouraged to become very creative, very innovative, and do things we've never done before. And baby boomers, and those of you who are not baby boomers but who are walking this journey with us, recognize that we are capable. We've always been creative, innovative, and out of the box. So let's get out of the box we've fallen back into as we've had the rugs pulled out from under us, and do what we do best. Change the world one more time. I'll see you soon.